Christine, you muted. You muted, Christine.
Yeah, salut tout le monde. Just want to say hello. Just seeing your lovely faces. People will start logging in pretty soon. So nous allons commencer. Just check your mic a little bit, and then we'll get started shortly. And Mark will introduce you after opening remarks to kick off the panel. All right. Okay. All right. All right.
Attends, LP, c'est Louis-Pierre, c'est comment LP, c'est comment encore LP?
Louis-Philippe.
Louis-Philippe.
Bon, quand tu m'entends bien, j'ai l'impression qu'il y a un délai.
You find that.
Il y a un délai?
C'est vraiment bon. Je t'entends bien, Daphné.
OK.
All right. Hello, and welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us on the Sogebank Future of Banking series. This is such a pleasure and honor to welcome you all back. For those of you, if this is your first time, you are in for an amazing panel of influencers from the Sogebank group that will be here with you today to share very insightful thought leadership on what's to come for this session. First and foremost, this Future of Banking initiative is sponsored by the one and only Sogebank, the second largest bank in Haiti, who's also a gold sponsor for the Haiti Tech Summit 2020 digital edition. We are so pleased to finally work with Sogebank, esteemed, established institution like Sogebank. It's a pleasure to work with their entire team. Of course, this series, when we announced it, we announced a 3-part series that kicked off with the first session with the one and only Michael Verch, followed by a panel powered by our partners to make it a conversation about how to interact with banking. And this is the last session of the series. Of course, all of you have received agendas and interactive information about the conversations that will take place today, and of course, the entire series. So hopefully you've been enjoying, obviously, the content leadership with the first session with Michael Verch, Embracing and Becoming Digital, a journey of consistency, especially when you think about growth. That session was followed by the second one, Sogebank, always by your side, where we have a panel of influential leaders from Sogebank discussing thought leadership with you about the future of banking. And we end today with a final panel, which is a very, very important conversation about the importance of financial inclusion for the future of banking. Without further ado, I do want to now pass it over to our one and only moderator, Michaël, who's going to kick it off and have an elaborate discussion with our amazing, amazing panelists for session 3, the final session for this series. So you guys should give the energy, show some love. I know we have many people across the Haitian diaspora, across Haiti, and around the world joining us for this final session. So keep the energy up on Zoom, keep the energy up on social media. And without further ado, please give a warm and crazy welcome to our amazing moderator, Michaël, the CEO and founder of your one and only Bunch. Pass it over to you, Mark.
Thank you, Christine, and good morning, everybody. I am super excited, not only because I am a Sogebank ambassador myself, so I'm always happy to share what they're doing and how they're supporting the ecosystem. For those of you who don't know who I am Michaël, like Christine said, and I am the founder of Bunch. I've been working a lot in the tech community in Haiti. And today I am super, super excited as we prepare for the Haiti Tech Summit that's happening October 8th and 9th online to host this special series with Group Sogebank, with friends, with people I've been working with, to tell you and have a discussion about the future of banking in Haiti. And we're going to be talking mostly about financial inclusion. As you all know, the world is moving really fast. COVID has been creating new opportunity, destroying businesses, creating new ones. But there's only one thing that keeps the energy flowing, the blood in the entire system is going to be money. So access to money, financial inclusion is definitely an important topic globally, but particularly in Haiti. So I'm super excited to have you here with me today. And we can kick off an amazing conversation with people who are actually the heads of specific products at Group Sogebank that is now currently positioning itself as a bank that's focused on the future, a bank that is focusing on technology so we can actually reach more people, create more economic opportunity, and just literally make lives better in Haiti and be able to connect Haiti to the world more. So the people I have with me today, I will let them introduce themselves very quickly, but we do have the front face of Sogesol, which is a microfinance at Sogebank. Sogebank partnered with Digicel and they launched MonCash, which is their fintech. We also know that remittances is a very important component of the Haitian economy. So we do have the head of Sogexpress there. And of course, our Michael Verch that you already connected with previously, who is the brain behind thinking about how Sogebank is leveraging technology to enter the future. So with no further ado, I'd just like to ask everyone to just introduce themselves. I'll start with Daphné. Very quickly, who you are, what you do at Sogebank, and maybe present the product that you are actually leading to the public. Daphné.
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Daphné Louissaint. I work for Sogebank Group and I manage their microfinance affiliates since 2005. Sogesol is actually one of the biggest microfinance lender in Haiti with hundreds of thousands of microloans disbursed since 2000. We have disbursed small credits. This is our main product to people managing micro and small businesses nationwide. We are also the biggest agricultural lender in Haiti with more than 1 billion gourds of loans in this sector. Approximately 70% of our clients were totally excluded of financial services. They have received their first loan and opened their first saving account through us. I am very passionate about what microfinance can accomplish and delighted to share my point of view on the topic of financial inclusion.
Thank you, Daphné. We can feel your fire and energy. Thank you so much. We'll be discussing a lot of good things coming up. So next, we'll go with the next lady in the panel. So Nathaëlle, Chavenet, introduce yourself. People have seen you going live with me many times, but I'm super excited to have you once more.
Thank you, Michaël. Good morning to my fellow panelists. Good morning to everybody who's watching. My name is Nathaëlle Chavenet. I am the head of MonCash, which is a Digicel product in collaboration with Sogebank. So MonCash is actually a mobile wallet that aims to close the physical distance between people in Haiti by facilitating fast, reliable, and secure transactions. MonCash has been in the country since 2010, and the fact that we're getting so much more exposure now is a real testament of the challenges that have existed across history for the initial fintechs in this country. So initially, when we started in 2010, the name was Chocho Mobile. By 2014, the company had gathered about 50,000 users. And so thinking that this was not enough, in 2015, we went through a transformation, renamed to MonCash. We also, within that year, partnered with Sogebank, and we've had much more groundbreaking way in the last years. And we're now servicing close to 2 million customers in Haiti, facilitating daily transactions.
Excellent. Thank you, Nathaëlle. Exciting panel. People who are really leading those services in Haiti. For really a first time, I'm very happy to welcome Phillipe Gardère. It's actually first time going live with him. And as you guys know, remittances is one of the biggest sources of money coming to Haiti, more than $3 billion a year. And Sogebank is also positioned in that area and leading with Sogexpress. So welcome to the panel, Phillipe. Please introduce yourself and introduce Sogexpress.
Thank you, Michaël. Yes, indeed, it's my first time doing a Zoom with you. I'm very excited. And hello, everybody. Hello, all the panelists on the meeting today. So Sogexpress is evolving in the remittance market in Haiti. So Sogexpress represent Western Union in Haiti, and we are the biggest agent payout in Haiti with 25% of market share. So we own 25% of this market share. And with a total of more than 500 POS throughout the country. We are everywhere in Haiti, even in the most remote areas in the province. We have a foot in there. We are serving we are making sure to serve as much as possible the population in general. So as you said, the remittance is so important for the economy in Haiti. So we need to be very present as much as we can everywhere, and also we need to keep innovating in that sector. So yes, I'm the general manager of Sogexpress. It's been 3 years I'm in the group, and very exciting challenge and a very exciting journey. So yes, very, very happy to be part of this panel today.
Thank you so much. Last but not least, Michael Verch, the floor is yours. Introduce yourself to our public.
Hi, thank you, Michaël. It's very exciting and it's a pleasure to be with you all this morning. My name is Michael Verch. I'm the Chief Information Officer for Sogebank Group. my responsibilities is projects and project management and obviously technology for the group. Since there's no representative of the commercial bank, we have also two products from the commercial banks that are geared towards financial inclusions. Well, one is a service and the other one is a product. First, we have a Soge Easy, which is a particular bank account that's geared toward that sector, that segment, that have very competitive rates, okay? And also as a service, we launched a few months ago, and this has been discussed a few times on some of these previous sessions, a service that allows to debit a Sogebank account to credit the MonCash wallet, okay, which also is a extremely important service in building the ecosystem which is one of the biggest challenge also for the financial inclusion sector. So this is a very important part. So it's a pleasure to be here this morning.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, I mean, if you're watching, I mean, I'm looking at all the fire already in the Zoom, and if you're on social media, do not forget to ask questions as we go along this panel. You can also tweet your questions. You can tweet them at Group Sogebank, at Haiti Tech Summit, at Mark Alain Bay. So we'll be here tuning in with your question, but we'll have a quick discussion going on with these amazing people here until we get your question, and we will allow you to start asking questions. So financial inclusion is a very, very important topic. I think I would like to start with Daphné. I think we need to kind of set up the ground and kind of give people an overall idea about what the financial inclusion sector really looks like in Haiti, and also how does Group Sogebank, how did Group Sogebank position itself within that market? What have you been doing? What's going on? People are tuning in from around the world. Let's give them a quick overview of the sector. Daphné.
Thank you for this question, Michaël. Let me talk first about Group Sogebank to give a little bit of context on what we do. Group Sogebank is involved in financial inclusion since 2000, since the creation of Sogesol. Financial inclusion is a topic that is very trendy now, but it is something that MFIs are doing since their creation in the 1970s. So by creating an MFI, Group Sogebank as a firm, its willingness to work toward financial inclusion, and it is embedded in Sogesol's DNA, I would say. An MFI like Sogesol, working in urban and rural areas with clients among the most vulnerable socially and economically, as a very unique advantage, I would say, very unique vantage point. We are able to engage a dialogue with people outside of financial system. We meet with them, we talk to them, and most importantly, we hear them. So this gives us insights on their financial and non-financial needs. It is no surprise that they have a lot of needs related to their livelihood, and these often have to be secured first, but they also have financially related needs. We have to better understand those needs to provide the solutions that will make us go further, move faster toward financial inclusion. Financial inclusion in Haiti is still limited in spite of a lot of efforts we have recently made. As a matter of fact, a FinScope study has been conducted in 2018 by Finmark Trust, the company, with the support of USAID and the central bank. And the results of this FinScope reveal some insightful data about consumers' trends and financial inclusion in Haiti. With this study, we have now a lot of data on demography, on behavior, on products. We have data on people who are banked. We have data on people with formal access to financial services without being banked. People that are served by a credit, that have access to credit by a microfinance institution, for example. We have data on people with informal access to financial services, the people that have loans from friends, loans from family, loans from loan sharks, for example. We have data we have information about people, providers of microfinance, providers of any type of tool that can push further financial inclusion. And we know the percentage of people without any access to financial services. 46% of the population is totally excluded of financial services. 11.5% of people are banked. 33% have access to formal financial services from non-banks. People with informal access represent 10%. So in summary, we can say that we have 46% of excluded and 43% of underserved. Although this data have probably changed because we are talking about a survey in 2018, it is clear that there is a shortfall that needs to be addressed in order to reinforce financial inclusion in Haiti. On average, 11.5% of the adult population in Haiti is banked. If we go a little bit deeper, we see that people with debit cards represent 2.6% of the total of the population. People with checking accounts, 2.3%. People with savings account, also 2.3%. People with a commercial loan represent 0.3% of the population. People with personal loans, 0.2%. And people with a business loan, 0.1%. This data gives us a big picture of the current state of financial inclusion in Haiti. Substantial efforts are being made to reverse the situation, but this data shows that we are not reaching yet an inclusive financial system.
So clearly, we can say there's very little blood available,
yes.
But the country is growing. People are in need and dire need of making transactions because that is what's going to help bring growth. I think the picture you painted kind of brings a question in my mind, and I think everybody who's watching on the live right now probably asking themselves, so what is happening and how can we create more opportunity for people to be able to save money, spend money, do transaction? If we're talking about 2.5% of people with access with credit cards, we need to think about other alternatives and what other options that are available. And I think it's very good that Nathaëlle is on the panel with us today, because here is that partnership that Sogebank did with MonCash, and Nathaëlle may give us a better idea of, like, there's a big fringe of the population with a cell phone, and she's been working with MonCash. Nathaëlle, what kind of change have you seen since you kind of pushed out these tools that's kind of like addressing the financial inclusion, but also what are the difficulties that you've seen actually as the country has very little infrastructure, and is Haiti ready for what you're doing, and what are the hurdles that you've seen along the way?
Thank you, Michaël. I'd like to start off by saying that definitely the challenges we've had when we started 10 years ago are different from the challenges we have now at different scales, I would say. Initially, and this supports a bit some of the data that Daphné is sharing, education was a major hurdle in us fogging through mobile money and making headway in the fact that 58% of that adult population has access to a cell phone, right? So they may not have access to a fixed internet, so that's 15%, but however, with a smartphone, they can all access, internet through a telecom operator. So education was definitely a major hurdle. And what we realized was that proximity was one of the ways that worked better for the Haitian population. So the concept of having digital currency on a wallet was so foreign that it required face-to-face interaction on a consistent basis for a long period until the Haitians understood the concept and were able to accept it. Now, the fact that we've passed that, I think we're in a very interesting time now where we're all realizing that there is a need for more focus on financial education. We do have a literacy rate which is limited. Again, by the FinScope says that about 47% of our population had access to primary education or less. So that faces us, companies, with a major challenge. How do we ensure that people understand that the products we're offering can be aligned to the needs that they have? And so what's happening again is that you have across the industry a lot more interest and fighting for financial education. There is a national education plan spearheaded by the central bank. There's also the private sector gathering to ensure that financial education remains a key element. All of us here on this panel, through our organizations or through various associations that we represent, we're part of an alliance in Haiti for financial education, right? So these elements also come into play. Other factors that are very important, I think, if we know that we're facing a population which has a limited literacy rate, we need to leapfrog, we need to move and address elements of education with AI. I mean, artificial intelligence can certainly help us, right? And getting people to understand that the products we're offering can be adapted to their lives. And by that, I'm also saying we as organizations need to also make sure that we're not providing cookie cutter solutions. We need solutions that are adapted to the population and to the country where we're living in. And it's interesting to see that a lot more of that interest is coming along across all the different industries, you know, and so those are the type of elements that I think can really help us make way for financial education and for a more financial inclusive society in Haiti.
Very interesting. It's very interesting. So there's a lot of efforts happening, but we're not there yet, right? Financial education needs to be there. Infrastructure needs to be there. The banking sector also needs to be moving and be more creative about what they're doing. I'm thinking here that even though we're making progress, we're still dealing with a heavily cash economy, right? And talking about cash, a lot of that cash is coming also from abroad, right? So this is where I probably want to bring Sogexpress back here and tell us a little bit how, about $3 billion comes to this economy every year, all right? And a lot of that, and you said you have 25% of market share, is coming to Sogexpress. How is Sogexpress trying to leveraging technology to make access to that money easier, faster for the people?
Okay. Yes, as you said, Michaël, the market is 3 billions per year. And those 3 billions, almost 100% are paid in cash. Okay, so the needs for cash is we can say that cash is still king in Haiti. Okay, because for all the reasons that we know, that what like Daphné just said and Nathaëlle just said also. So and that's why Sogexpress, the goal is, and that's what we are doing as a strategy at Sogexpress. The goal is to make sure that we are close to everybody, to all the population, even if it's by making sure that we are present in the most remote areas, and even if the transaction has to be in cash. Okay, that's the first part of the financial inclusion, I can say. It's to make the service available everywhere. That's the first step. And then now we are planning on, we are innovating. Since 2 years, we have made some very interesting steps, I can say. The first thing we did, it was to allow every Sogebank customers to receive or to send a Western Union transaction through their Sogebanking online platform. So instead of going looking for a POS and having to transact in cash, now if you own a Sogebank account, you can log into your Sogebank online and cash deposit the fund into your bank account, or send if you're sending money abroad, you can do it through that platform online with Sogebank. And that gives us some good results. A lot of people like that and are using it. So I think it's a good step. The second I think innovation that we are doing in collaboration with Western Union and Sogebank, Michaël is directly involved in that project, it's to even when the sender is doing the transaction, the sender has two choices. Either it will ask Western Union to do the transaction, and the beneficiary will receive the transfer in cash, or he can ask Western Union to deposit those funds directly into their bank account. So the sender will have the decision. That's what we call a direct-to-bank transaction. Okay, that option gives us a very good opportunity, okay, to adapt our product. And I think Michael mentioned it at the beginning. It's what we call the Sogebank card. Okay, with that, Sogebank is personalized or for our customers, the remittance customers that are on most of them are unbanked. So with the Sogebank, it's like having a bank account but with less prerequisites, and then it's easier for them to use it. So now they will have the opportunity to receive their Western Union directly into this account, any bank account in Haiti, and even with directly on their Sogebank card. So that's I think it's a very exciting project we are working on with Western Union. So any Sogebank customer could receive their fund directly into this card instead of going and then doing taking the cash. So now the funds are on the Sogebank card, and they can go shop with that card. They can do they can transfer that money into somebody else's account. So there's all kinds of opportunities that we are working on. First, it's to make the first step is to allow the transfer to be the funds to be credited into the account, and then Sogebank is working now to making that card, that product more accessible to everybody and more and having more usage for it.
Do you have any, can you share maybe any thoughts on adoption rates? Like, are a lot of people using those services? Are we still at early stage for those? And how is this moving?
Okay. Yeah, it's yes, we are still in the early stage of it. The first option is to go through Sogebank online. We are getting very good numbers, and we are growing more than double digits numbers for that. But now the direct to bank coming from the senders directly, it will be launched very soon. It's not yet available, but we are working and we're making very good progress with Western Union on that. So and I think that we will have a very good adoption. People will, because we are already seeing people using the Sogebank card already to buy at some merchants. So I think with making the Western Union available on that card, that would be a very good steps for the financial inclusion.
Thank you for sharing with Phillipe. I think there's still so much that needs to be done. Still so much, particularly on online transaction, because it is very important. The amount of money that's coming from abroad to Haiti is definitely an important source of money. And I think there's a lot of things that are happening online. Online banking is one thing, but also e-commerce is also a sector that is waiting to be able to. That's a lot. And I think I want to move a little bit to Daphné with this question. I mean, I think, Daphné, how do you see technology changing the microfinance world, or I mean, since you've been working on that sector for a while, how do you see technology making a difference in financial inclusion in Haiti?
It's a very interesting question, Michaël, but I will start first by, with a disclaimer. I'm not a tech person. I'm just a microfinance practitioner looking at technology to see how we can improve our steps towards financial inclusion. So from our experience, technology is very relevant to help us go further in more, I would say, more efficient ways. First, I would say that technology can help us enter markets not yet served while reducing costs, because the most important things right now is, the cost of implementing brick and mortar facilities to serve rural areas. So as an example, in Senegal, the partnership of an MFI and a fintech made it possible to launch digital credit, providing access to rural customers without the hurdle to have to build very expensive brick and mortar facilities in rural areas. I can also say that technology can help increase proximity. This can seem quite a paradox, because technology can be seen by us microfinance practitioners as something, while increasing efficiency, that can put some distance between the client and us. If you use technology, there is no need for the frequent field visit that are the trademark of microfinance lender. So if we can serve the client at a distance, there is no need to those frequent visits. So this is sometimes also the question that we ask ourselves when we're talking about technology. But technology can help increase proximity. In fact, technology can also be used to improve and strengthen this proximity. MFIs naturally collect information. We collect information from clients, information that are stored in our databases. So we have data on their financial activities, on their behavior, on their socio-demographic profile, on their habits. Technology can help us organize this data to increase interaction, but not physical interaction. So we can develop tools and solutions to better serve the clients. Another example, in Tanzania, chatbot has been used to educate clients on financial matters after the microfinance institution has assessed the data that has been collected from their clients. So they have realized that there was some opportunities, to educate them. They have identified the area where education were needed, and they have developed the chatbot specifically to engage in this in training for education. Technology can also help us improve customer experience. We use, as I said, we have a lot of data. We collect data from the clients. So the technology can help us create a personalized customer experience with specific solutions for specific clients, for individual clients. Technology can help us connect financial services to the real economy, to the real people, by offering contents that are relevant to the needs, the real needs of this person, of these people. Another example, in India, for example, we have a microfinance institution that have collected data on the quality of soil and the quality of seeds. And with this data, they were able to offer coaching to farmers to optimize crops yields and market prices. And doing so, they have used artificial intelligence to do so.
Yeah.
So data for us, technology is something that can be very useful to help us move toward financial inclusion. But we have to keep in mind that technology is not going to solve all the problems. First, we have to assess the needs. We have to make sure that we know exactly what are the needs and how technology can address them. So this is an answer from a microfinance practitioner standpoint.
I mean, I think definitely there's a lot that's going on around the world, and Haiti has a lot to learn from what is going on around the world. And this is where it becomes important in a panel like this to probably address Michael Verch on, so Sogebank is positioning itself as this new bank that is pushing towards technology. And I think the opportunity is huge. COVID has shown how much transactions are happening online. And I think you said it, Daphne, there is a much bigger community out there to be served. So Michael, maybe that's the time for you to tell us a little bit about what is that vision that is that's the bank is cherishing, and what are the opportunities that you guys see in Haiti for technology and banking?
Well, if we first of all, before talking about the vision, we should talk about our model, which is Sogebank toujours bon côté, in Creole, which roughly translate to Sogebank always by your side. And when we come back to the numbers that Daphné shared at the beginning, we still have a lot of work to do in terms of market penetration, in terms of offering financial services. So when we mean always by your side, but it means that we're always by your side to a small segment of the population, and there's a big segment of that population in terms of percentage that hasn't been in touch of those financial services. Now we have to look into it also. There's two sides of the coin. There's a part of that population is people that have decided to not use some of those financial services for different reasons. Sometimes they feel it as they're not concerned by them. They're maybe too sophisticated. They're not specifically addressing their needs. And also we have the typical definition of financial inclusion, which is really going after the underserved. But I like the broader aspect of really including as much part of the population in terms of offering financial services. And to do that, to achieve that goal, we have to go, what Daphné said also, is really understanding the needs, but also what Nathaëlle said in terms of we have to be in Haiti, the human touch and the proximity is key, okay? And that's where we have the value increases. So the challenge and the goal is to be as close to the customer as possible, still provide the human touch that this customer needs, but still be offering a service that is acceptable, that's understandable, but also provides value, not only in terms of service, but also in terms of cost, because it has to make my financial sense to them. And it comes down really to building and strengthening the ecosystem. So I don't think, like Nathaëlle said, there's a cookie cutter approach that we can take. I don't think there's really one channel, one service that can solve all the issues, okay, that's been outlined today. But the key component is that the ecosystem be as much integrated as possible. And when we're talking about some of the elements that we discussed today, we have integration between Sogebank and MonCash, because we're sending from a bank account the possibility to credit a MonCash wallet, but also we can receive and send remittance above. Okay, that's also above, from abroad, sorry. That's also part of the strengthening the ecosystem. And also in terms of proximity, using agent banking, agent services, okay, we need to be able to an agent offer as much services that to a brick and mortar Sogesol, okay, point of sales or point of service. So I think that integration is the key element. That's part of that's the vision. And to build as much as possible a strong omni-channel and multi-channel ecosystem and be a core component of it, but to be as much as possible to be close to our customers and offer them value.
Wow. I mean, I think we set the stage really well, and I think I'm going to jump into some questions. Now, there are a lot, and I can tell you officially, Nathaëlle is kind of the most popular topic here, since it clearly is dealing with mobile money and everything that's kind of closer to what's going on online today. And I think one of the biggest questions I've been getting from the chat and on social media is, how does all that integrate with each other? So how can we see more transfers going on from Sogexpress to MonCash, MonCash integrating with Sogesol? What is the possibility here? What are we looking at in terms of future of banking, or at least in terms of integration? Maybe I think this should jump back to Michaël.
I think that we touch a lot of those key components already, okay? And some of those projects are definitely in the pipeline. Phillipe touched about receiving transfer directly to a bank, okay? And we're working on towards increasing that integration so it can be sent to different types of means and channels as well. And also we're working on different projects in terms of from those, whether it's a bank account, whether it's a wallet, the mobile money, okay? It's possible to do other things with those funds, okay? And that's where the integration comes into play. Sogesol is working on their side also in terms of being able to offer those services in more rural areas, and that's where technology plays a very important part. But we understand that to go to those rural areas, we need to have access to agents anyways, because the human touch is key, okay? So I think that most of the components in terms of integration have been discussed today. I think that the components are there. So be patient, it's coming. it's not I would say it's in the very near future. It's not in years, we're talking probably months, okay, and weeks in certain cases, okay, so be patient, it's coming. But I guess when we're really looking at the future, and Nathaëlle mentioned that, then we have to work in parallel where we can leapfrog some of those issues that we know we can't address right now with AI, because the things that we're doing today, maybe we'll be able to touch maybe 10%, 20% of that population. We still have that big opportunity gap to solve. But when we want to go to the 80%, 90%, 70% of that population, I think when we're looking at the challenges, financial literacy, electricity, infrastructure, and everything else, we need to find more creative solutions where we can go leapfrog to that next level of that population. And some of those ideas are not yet here, okay? We know that some of those technology are available, okay? And that's where we will need to be more patient on those.
Yeah, leapfrogging is definitely going to be important. It is fantastic that you guys from different parts of the group are together here on a panel and kind of hearing from each other, and also feeling that energy coming from the chat and coming from the live, where people are saying, we want more. So we need to work together to build more. And I think the wheel is there, and that is why you guys are part of the Haiti Tech Summit, and that is why you're going live, you're putting things out there, you're getting feedback. Daphné, there's an interesting question on the chat that I wanted to direct to you. It's coming from David Vicent. You were talking about data, right? That, you know, technology can allow us to have better information and better customer experience. But he's asking, how is Sogesol right now collecting data on their clients? So what are you guys learning from your clients today, and how are you leveraging that data?
It is a very interesting question. As I said, we collect a lot of data, and we collect them directly in the field, you know, with our loan officers that are in direct contact with the clients. So we collect all sorts of data, all sorts of information. We have information about their habits, customs, behavior. We have information about their financial transactions, or absence of financial transaction for some. And all this information, we store them in our database, and we treat this information to see, you know, what we can do, what we can offer, what type of product that we can design that can address specific needs. But you know, we have to see it as a microfinance practitioner. We cannot do our main product is microcredit. So the best we can do as a microfinance practitioner is design the best solution that we can offer as a microcredit and institution, and develop partnership with other I would say institutions to help alleviate some needs that we have discovered with you know, our interactions in the field with the clients. So in this, I can add that we have developed a partnership with Digicel, for example, when we have realized that the clients were very reluctant to travel back to the urban areas to make their payments. They have to travel, they have to incur transportation fees that are very high. we have developed we have integrated Sogesol with Digicel, and we have offered MonCash to our client in order for them to repay using their cell phone. It is something that we have realized while talking with the clients in the field, that when they travel like that from rural area to urban area, there is a loss of revenue, of potential revenue, because they have to close their small businesses. So this is one way that we have leveraged information collected in the field to improve something for the client.
Interesting. This is interesting. Well, there's a quick question here that I wanted, Nathaëlle. There's somebody who asked very quickly, where can they find those information about financial education that you were talking about? I want you to touch on that very quickly, but also from this question from Sorel Celestin, who's here, is saying that today in Kenya, there is more mobile subscribers than there are adult in the country. 80% of those are mobile. So maybe anyone can touch on this question. From cash economy and the transfers, from the vision of Sogebank, what are we doing for more financial inclusion in this country? I'll start with you, Nathaëlle.
Thank you, Michaël. Well, in terms of all information relating to MonCash, people can certainly go to our website, okay? We try to have as much information there available to the public. So they
the question was about financial education.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they could go on the website and see if the information there suits. Otherwise, we could definitely be contacted on a more individual basis. And I think Sogel's question, as well as Daphne's last comment, they both bring me to a point that we have actually not discussed yet, which is how does the regulatory environment, right, play a role in all of this? Because I think we've certainly shown that we have a will as organizations evolving in the financial institution. We have clients who obviously need the products that we're willing to serve on a more adapted basis. And what we are starting to see from the regulator, and we want to keep seeing more of, is that ability, you know, to adapt the regulations to what the country actually needs. Because Daphné spoke about using MonCash for Sogesol customers to pay their loans. Now this has a limitation, right? Because some of the loan amounts are not fitting into the wallet limits that we have. And so that's where we need the regulator to come in and do an assessment and say, can we increase? Do we still feel comfortable in terms of AML, anti-terrorism, and all of those rules to make this adjustment because it improves people's lives, allowing them to have less costs? So I think it's the same answer also to Sogel, where we want to take things to move faster, and we also need the support of the regulator in order to be able to go where we want to go. Because in some areas, until they do, we cannot move.
Very, very interesting. And I think I'm loving the comments in the chat, by the way. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. I think we should actually have some kind of panel with, you know, the regulatory system, because clearly you said it, there is a will, but there are also, we're operating in a set system. And also we want to control so that there's no problems, and we want to keep the financial system stable. So that's kind of like this debate between how fast do we go and how much does everybody, you know, get involved, and how much willing that there is actually in the entire ecosystem itself. Very beautiful. And there's a question here about national digital strategy. Have you guys heard of anything in that sense? Does Haiti have a national plan? Have you heard of anything that you could actually highlight? Michaël, since you are the brain and the visionary of the panel.
Well, I think that there's a lot of national plan. From what I understand, I don't think there's a specific and as broad national digital plan. Okay, but there's a lot of national plan. There's a national plan in terms of financial education. I think Nathaëlle just touched on that. There's national plans in terms of education in general. I think there's a lot of national plans, but not a specific national digital plan. And in terms of looking at something really digital, I think there's also a plan to increase entrepreneurs also in the tech field. So also there's a national plan in place also, and there's an incubator as well from the government. So it's still the integration problem issue that I mentioned at the beginning. Okay, so we have a lot of components going on. Okay, but some of those components still need. I think the next step will be really working on the integration part.
Okay, I think we're also running out of time. There's so many questions, but I really would like to hear from you. Maybe one last point from everybody until we reach our time here. I want you to stand from your sector. So from Sogesol, from Sogexpress, MonCash, and from the group, of course, Michaël, to tell us a little bit about, because you guys are you're not nobodies, like you were leading these sectors, right? So can you just share with everyone here, what is your vision for the future of your sector leveraging technology in Haiti? I'll start maybe with Sogexpress.
Okay, Michaël, thank you for that question, because it's very important, and I think everybody will have the most pretty much the same answers. We can have the best technology, the most advanced technology, but if the ecosystem is weak or limited, like everybody just said, and it will, the goal will not be the goal will not be able to be made. So it's very important to, so not only us, the group Sogebank or Sogexpress, but us, everybody, every actors in that in the market, in the financial system, needs to work into building that ecosystem, to start building that ecosystem. And I think Nathaëlle just pointed out a very important point, is that we need the authorities also to give give us to show the leads, and then because it's they are very, very important decision makers, and also they are very important actors into that. So I think everybody needs to start participating into that, into building that ecosystem. We need us, as I said earlier, Sogexpress, Sogebank is doing some steps already with a lot of collaboration with MonCash, with Western Union, and then now we need to continue doing that, because we will serve more and more customers, but I think we need it's the entire actors and the local authorities also that needs to participate in that, because we with the technology, it's the first thing, because technology facilitates a lot of things, but if the use if there is no usage for the final customer, if the final customer receive for example a transfer, a Western Union transfer, and then the only option he has to do is to go do a cash out, it means that the objective is not there yet. We need to give the option, as many options as possible, to the customer, to the final customers, to use that money into the system. And it's not Sogexpress alone that will be able to do it. It's not MonCash alone that will be able to do it. It's everybody working together in the same direction.
Definitely, you're definitely right. And I think what we also need to take a moonshot commitment, kind of, where do we see this going? I mean, of course, we understand the problems. There is progress happening, but we didn't even touch the future is online, for example. So how are you like seeing your sectors taking over the online market, and or how do you see MonCash, for example, Nathaëlle, taking over the internet business? and making sure Haitians are connected with the world. I'm getting a lot of questions every time we go live about how PayPal can connect with MonCash. We know that, but let's take a moonshot. Let's think about the future. How do you see MonCash in your integration going on right now be able to really make a revolution in the internet business, whether it's in Haiti or around the world?
Well, I mean, I think the approach that we have in MonCash certainly starts with integration via partnerships, right? So we want to position ourselves to be that bridge, right? That connects the financial institution as it's been known in the past to a lot of the Haitian people that have not had access to formal financial services, that for whom economic prosperity means being able to do transactions, but at a much lower cost, and the current financial structure doesn't allow to do that. So we want to partner with them and be able to both talk to those institutions. I think definitely, and to answer a bit of your question, partnership also via open APIs. We have made some ways towards that. There is still a lot to be done. And interestingly, what's happening is, as we're making progress, we're getting demand that is so much more than we can handle in the current time, which is actually great news for us, because it means that the public is engaged, the public is interested, and the public understands that what we're doing is in the right direction, and that we need to continue, but find a way potentially to put more resources faster, because they're moving much faster than we are. So I think we still have a great opportunity there. I think we also have an opportunity to influence prosperity also for micro enterprises, for small and medium-sized enterprises. A lot of times we talk about individual customers when, for example, when we're talking about MonCash, but certainly with companies like Sogesol or other ones, how can we really reinitiate the small and medium-sized enterprises, which really are the motor within this economy, and can help us create jobs and focus a lot more on entrepreneurship. And I also think that we could not look at the future of financial inclusion from MonCash without also looking inwardly and saying, yes, we want to make way, we want to answer all these questions for customers, but we also need to be cautious. How do we make sure we protect their rights? Because sometimes when you're discussing technology, you're moving at such a fast pace that you may forget that. So we need to make sure that we remain grounded and we answer some of those questions. And also cybersecurity becomes important, right? Because we're talking about being online, we're talking about offering services across different markets. So how do we make sure that we reinforce our ecosystem to be able to measure against some of these? So I would say those are some of the thinkings that we're doing in MonCash in terms of financial inclusion.
This is, I don't think the public is just engaged. The public is thirsty. Like, they need this, and you can see it in the chat, you can see it in the live. People are looking at the world, and then in 1 second, they're looking at Haiti, because there's no difference anymore, right? You see what's happening. I'm seeing people here saying hi from Rwanda, from Nigeria. People can have access to what's going on around the world and see it and ask themselves right away, can I have access to this here? Why am I not having access into this? So, I mean, it's great that you guys are stepping up and saying, we want the regulations to be ready. We are ready for partnership. And this is where I want to kind of bring Michael back to the stage here, asking him, how is the group making partnership now? You moved forward with a partnership with MonCash, but what else is Group Sogebank doing to leverage partnership, or do you have another strategy to show the world that Sogebank is a modern bank?
Yeah, definitely. One of the key components of that strategy is obviously the partnership that's been going on for years with Digicel, with the MonCash wallet, okay? And that's the key component. In terms of remittance, we are high-level partner also for Western Union, okay? But we understand that in terms of connecting Haiti to the rest of the world, we still have a lot of work to do, okay? We're specifically working also on other partnership that I cannot disclose at this point, okay, for obvious reason. But we do understand that there's a tremendous needs in connecting Haiti to the rest of the world. We mentioned the e-commerce needs, but also when we're looking at the Haitian diaspora from a whole, also there's a lot of a big size of that population, a lot of those numbers that Daphné touched at the beginning. But it's all connected, and that's what we have to understand. Technology, it's not technology that makes us all connected. We want it to be all connected, and technology increases the ability to be all connected. And right now, because of the availability of technology, now it becomes, like Phillipe said, less and less of a problem, where the real need of being integrated, of being connected, but now with the COVID pandemic situation, being safe also with those interactions comes into place. So we hear the needs of the population. We're working on it. Okay, there's other partnerships that are coming soon in terms of facilitating those integration. But also, I would like to add a message to the local population. There's a lot of questions I saw on the chat. And that's one of the challenges that we have in terms of financial inclusion. A lot of those questions are really about products or services that exist today. Okay, I see questions about how do I connect Soge Easy? How do I send transfers between different Sogebank customers? How do I send from a Soge Easy account Western Union abroad? We mentioned that today, and a lot of those services are available today. How do I make credit card payments? We are already offering some of those services. And I think it comes back to what I think that there's a lot of disconnect between a lot of communities in Haiti. We have a lot of clustered communities, and the communities are talking among themselves, okay? And they're not necessarily seeing the evolution of some of those services because they're not really addressing the needs of the customer of that particular segment. And that's one of the challenges that I'm seeing from participating on this panel and the ones before is how can we not educate, because our customers are educated. The needs that they are expressing are very precise and educated needs, but how can they understand that some of those questions, some of those services that they're asking for is already available today, and how can they push us further to integrate some of those further by using those services? And that's it's like a catch-22 situation, what comes before. And I think the customers also have to push us by using some of those services, by actually enrolling in the online banking that's already available, by using a MonCash wallet, and all of that. And that's where the integration comes into play.
You're absolutely right on. We need to be on those platforms today so we can actually, so they can perform better and move us forward. And it's the same thing for the MonCash technology that is available. And I think that's really a key stepping stone showing that, yes, we are moving towards online banking with open APIs. And also people need to kind of go on these platforms and kind of provide feedback. And I think a lot of the questions, I've seen those questions. This panel is more about the vision of the future. I didn't want to make it about troubleshooting what's going on with MonCash and what's going on with Sogesol, etc. I really wanted to expose that vision and have a really deep reflection on where we can go from here. And I think my last question, since we're out of time, will be for you, Daphné. I think the future is also entrepreneurship. And when we talk about entrepreneurship, we're talking about tech entrepreneurs, microfinance opportunities, the informal economy. Now my question is to you, how do you see the future of your sector, and how is Sogebank also probably leveraging partnerships to be able to give access to finance, but also invest in opportunities for entrepreneurs to grow? Because if entrepreneurs grow, the economy grows, and the bank gets more transaction in the future.
Thank you, Michaël. It's very difficult to add something after, Michaël and Phillipe and Nathaëlle. I would say, the same way they see it. You know, for us, the future is partnership. I don't think that we can evolve in silos and develop solutions in silos. I think that we have to work together. And when you look around this virtual table, you will see almost all key components of an ecosystem that can help us push further financial inclusion. You know, remittances company, mobile network operator, a bank, a microfinance institution. I see the future as a partnership between MNOs, fintechs, banks, MFI, credit union, remittances companies, pooling their resources together, building on the strength of each other to design and develop the perfect solution to address the customer needs and contribute really to achieve financial inclusion. Because as a microfinance institution by myself, when I look at the microfinance sector, we have seen an evolution since the 70s, 80s, 90s. We have seen NGOs transform themselves in banks to become more resilient, to offer better product. We have seen a lot of improvement, but we have realized also that there is so much that we can do by ourselves. We have to work with other operators in this ecosystem to help advance the financial inclusion cause, I would say.
No, definitely. So I think we all agree that that's how the global economy is also working. Leveraging API is actually the biggest invention in the world, allowing people to tap into each other's network and services. But I do think we need to act, right? We've done beautiful panels. We've talked about the issues, and I feel like every conversation that we have, we all agree on things. We all agree that the banking needs to be more modern, integrated, connected with the world, and the pieces are there. And I thank you all for coming on this panel today, showing that commitment. And also, I'm very happy that you guys are partnering with the Haiti Tech Summit to show even more that commitment. Even myself as a hub, working with tech entrepreneurs, also with the support of Group Sogebank, there is a lot that is happening, but there's more that needs to happen. So it's everyone's responsibility. If we see opportunities, but they're overwhelming, that means we need more investment. If we need more investment, we need more access to resources. And we cannot do it alone. We have to do it in partnerships, leveraging what others have started before us, and keep building together. So I think this was an amazing panel. I don't know if anyone wants to share a final word so we can close off. Anyone, I'm not going to pinpoint anybody. If you feel like there's anything that you haven't been able to share about the future of banking or your sectors, your positioning, I would give you 1 minute to do so we can close. But thank you everybody for participating. I love the comments. Please keep tweeting about this, and also make sure you RSVP for the next Haiti Tech Summit that's coming. The discussion about technology needs to continue, and Michaël said something amazing. Technology did not bring us together. We wanted to be together. It is just a tool. So let's just keep pushing. Opening the floor for final remarks, anyone who feels like. I think Louis, well.
Thank you.
Sorry, Machaël?
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you said what?
Did you have a final remark?
No, I think we went through everything. So the future is now. If we need to make the future happen, we need to work now, and we are doing some very good and interesting steps already. So we need to keep pushing. Imagine a customer receiving a remittance, and that customer can do so many usage of that remittance instead of going to do a cash out. That would be the perfect scenario. For example, receiving the remittance so somewhere into a device or a card or everything, and then it could save some part of that remittance and then go buy some stuff at a local market, or to do a P2P after that, all in the same on the same platform. You see, so I think that would be the perfect scenario. But we have to do a lot of work. We still have to do a lot of work for that. Like everybody said, it's a question of integration. So we need to keep thinking, and then partnerships together, and then tackle that issue, and then making it happen. Because the more we have cash, the more we have issues.
Well, thank you very much.
I don't know if I can say something.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, just briefly, I would like to say that to our clients that we are exploring trends, technology, everything that can help us meet better their needs. Because what we want to do is help ensure a better future for them. We want to show to our clients that Group Sogebank will always be by their side. And this better future for our clients cannot exist without our collaborators' efforts also. So our collaborators are key. They share a vision of what we can accomplish, and they work tirelessly in order to bring financial services close to the client. So thank you to our clients for their trust, and thank you to our collaborators for their dedication.
Thank you, Daphné. Well, everyone, I think the future is now, but the power is here. So please, let's continue collaborating with each other, and let's really put the strength where it needs to be so we can really change the future of banking. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you to all our participants here in the Zoom and on the live. Continue to tweet about this, stay focused, continue working on your projects, because every step we make, we go towards a better future. And then this said, I will pass it on back to Christine. And again, thank you, everyone.
I'll be stepping in for Christina. So a big thank you to everyone. A big thank you to our great panelists for today's session. It has been insightful over the past 2 weeks. We've had a lot of knowledge shared about the present situation of banking and the future of banking. And we say a big thank you to our gold sponsors, Sogebank, for everything that has happened over the past 3 weeks. And so there's also a big thank you to our attendees who have joined us over the past 3 weeks. And from the Haiti Tech Summit team, we look forward to a great experience. So thank you so much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye.